Hey there folks, Wrel here. Today we're going to be looking at automatic scout rifles available to the Infiltrator class in PlanetSide 2. We'll break down their stats, talk a little bit about how to use them effectively, and hopefully help you decide whether or not these weapons will fit your personal playstyle. So automatic scout rifles are available for 650 certifications or 500 daybreak cash, and each faction currently has access to only one of them, but hopefully that'll change somewhere down the line. Automatic scout rifles have identical stats, save for the VS version, which has no bullet drop. For TR, it's the SOAS-20, for the NC, it's the AF-18 Stalker, and for the VS, it's the Artemis VX26. The too long didn't watch is that automatic scout rifles handle a lot like carbines, but they're generally more accurate, they have better damage falloff, and a lower magazine size and higher reserve ammunition. The lower magazine size means that you need to use a little bit more finesse to get the job done, and the higher reserve ammo means you don't have to worry so much about where to find your next ammo box. Automatic scout rifles deal 143 damage up to 10 meters, then drop off to 125 at 60 meters. With that damage profile, you're looking at a 7-shot kill out to 10 meters, an 8-shot kill anywhere after that, and if you can chain headshots, you'll drop a target in 4 shots at any range. The rifles fire at 652 rounds per minute, or 10.87 shots per second, so your 7-shot time to kill is 0.55 seconds, your 8-shot time to kill is 0.64 seconds, and your 4-headshot time to kill is around 0.28 seconds. Now this is pretty mediocre, all things considered, but you are playing an Infiltrator, and the weapons are a bit more accurate than their carbine counterparts, so that definitely factors into things as well. Projectile velocities are 500 meters per second for each weapon, though a suppressor will lower your projectile velocity by 40%, which brings it down to 300 meters per second. Suppressors aren't a horrible option if you want to be super sneaky, but I wouldn't personally recommend them. The weapons already have moderate damage, mediocre rate of fire, and the projectile velocity decrease will make it even more difficult to track your targets, which only leads to more missed shots. Automatic scout rifles have 24 rounds per magazine and 216 in reserve, so that's 9 additional magazines worth of ammo by default, which is a lot more than most weapons will offer, at least in terms of magazines. But because of the lower magazine size, the ammo belt suit slot also has much less value. Automatic scout rifles reload in 2 seconds short and 2.64 seconds long, and this is not amazing, especially given the lower magazine size. You're going to be punished pretty harshly if you end up having to sit through a long reload, but as an Infiltrator, it's at least more manageable. Best to stay within your short reload though, and top off your magazine as often as possible. Automatic scout rifles are very controllable in terms of both recoil and cone of fire, though the varying horizontal recoil can cause some annoyances that make the weapons feel maybe less accurate than they should be at times. They have a vertical recoil pattern with a first shot recoil of 0.45, which is honestly pretty high, vertical recoil of 0.3, a minimum and maximum horizontal recoil of 0.2 to 0.225, and a total horizontal tolerance of 0.6, which is actually 0.3 in one direction. So in short, the weapon will kick up to 2 times in one direction, so anywhere from 0.4 to 0.45 degrees at most. Adding a forward grip will lower your horizontal recoil to 0.15 and 0.1688, and your horizontal tolerance goes down to 0.55, which means 0.275 in one direction, and it will still kick 2 times. In short, forward grips are a good choice if you want more accuracy with no tricks involved. They do increase your equip time, which means the time that it takes to switch to your weapon, from 0.65 seconds to 0.75 seconds, but you likely won't notice this. Automatic scout rifles have a cone of fire of 0.1 while standing and aiming down sights, 0.3 while moving and aiming down sights, 0.1 while crouching and aiming down sights, 0.2 while crouch walking and aiming down sights, and their ADS bloom is 0.05. Hipfire standing is 2.5, Hipfire moving is 3, Hipfire crouching is 2, Hipfire crouch walking is 2.5, and Hipfire bloom is 0.1. If you equip a laser sight, all of your Hipfire cone of fire values are reduced by 33%. And if you equip a compensator, you get a 20% increase in Hipfire cone of fire values. A laser sight is useful because it makes the weapon much easier to manage if somebody gets a drop on you, but a compensator is not really suggested. Compensators reduce vertical recoil by 15%, which is good, but it's also pretty easy to manage on these weapons. They also increase your minimap signature range from 40 meters to 75 meters, and that 20% increase in Hipfire cone of fire basically makes the weapon useless from the hip. Flash suppressors are going to increase your aim down sights bloom by 0.01 and your hipfire bloom by 0.02. Can't really recommend either one in this case because accuracy is just too important on these weapons. Automatic scout rifles, in a nutshell, are extremely dependent on your aim. If you can't land headshots consistently, you either shouldn't choose this weapon, or you should specifically pick off wounded targets at range. Those semi-auto scout rifles and various sniper rifles that you have access to are more suited to the task. With a 24-round magazine, a mediocre reload time, and a preferred engagement range beyond 10 meters, unless you're chaining headshots, you should expect to want to reload after every single kill. Beyond 10 meters is 8 shots to kill, and more if they have nanoweave, more if they have shield, more if the server doesn't register your shots proper. Scope selection will come down to personal preference, and I'm partial to a 1x reflex or a night vision optic, as they feel pretty good for the preferred engagement ranges. For an automatic scout rifle to work well, you need a nice flank or be at least 20 meters from your enemy. This mostly has to do with who is going to shoot at you, which if you have a flank should be very few people, and how quickly you can drop someone. 20 meters is a decent sweet spot where other weapons' accuracy will start to taper off, though the element of surprise should always be in your favor. Kinda sums up the Infiltrator class in general, but it's especially true while using this weapon. Whether you're alongside allies or playing solo, the playstyle is very ambushy. Whenever you start to receive damage, you should back off and hide. Whenever you can't finish off a target, you should back off and hide. Chasing is something you can do with SMGs because they reload quickly, they have a higher magazine size, more damage output, and CQC is generally more frantic. But with automatic scout rifles, there's a lot more patience involved, especially if you aren't so keen on using a pistol. The problem that you'll run into when using an automatic scout rifle is knowing when they're appropriate. They've got enough factors stacked against them that it oftentimes feels like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. If you can't get a nice flank or can't work from a proper engagement range, then the safer option is, ironically, to go with an SMG instead of an automatic scout rifle. It's pretty easy to close a distance in this game unless you're being stonewalled, and if you are being stonewalled, everyone has access to a sniper rifle by default, so you can at least do something. But rarely ever do you see a back and forth at medium close range, unless both sides have medics and no progress is being made either way. This happens most often around spawn rooms and capture points. To help circumvent the TTK disadvantage, it's wise to carry an EMP. Flank the enemy, drop an EMP, and you can delete a few people before they really know what hit them. Another big advantage you can use is just hiding in the middle of an open lane. If targets are running directly toward you, you can key in on their head and put out enough damage to kill them before they slow down from a sprint and pull out their weapon. You want to also try to stay about as far away from competent heavies as you could possibly manage. If a heavy doesn't die in a quick burst to the head, you're very likely not to kill them. The shield just mitigates too much damage for your smaller magazine size, and that's on top of the evasive maneuvers before and after. I know that might not sound like a whole lot to go off of as far as solid tips, but the automatic scout rifles are a bit difficult to talk about because you have to really know the game already to make up for the weapon's weaknesses, though the guns themselves I wouldn't consider especially weak. They're reliable and skillful hands, which are not mine, and offer a playstyle that you can't get from other weapons you have available. But they're not something that I would specifically set aside the certifications for unless you're absolutely sure that you want one. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and if you have any thoughts on automatic scout rifles, go ahead, leave them in the comment section down below. Thanks very much folks, Wrel signing off.